wonder what else would fit in that hole. To fix a hole like this in the wall, the first thing you'll need to do is cut out a nice even square around it. There's probably a better tool than a steak knife to use for this, but this is working. Woo. All right. Oh my God, there's a dead body back there. Now, they have small pieces of drywall available at your local home improvement store for about $5. They're about 2 feet by 2 feet. So as you can see, I've used this before. Had some other mishaps around the house. Something to keep in mind is that drywall is available in 1/2 inch thickness, but also 5/8 of an inch thickness. So just be mindful of that. It'll make it easier if you get the right thickness for your wall, which of course you won't know until you get a piece out of it. Now, if your piece came out in a nice little square like mine did, you can just use it to trace around it to get the size of the piece you want. If not, you'll just need to re-measure the spot that you cut out and cut out a piece accordingly. Now, I've seen 2 different ways to do this. One is to take your little square and use joint tape and joint compound like we did in the last project to kind of fit the square in and get it all nice and smooth. But I saw a different method recently that I wanted to try. Turn it over on the back, and I think the back is the darker side. Draw your square kind of in the middle here. All right. Break it. Okay. Ta-da! Of course, now it's the moment of truth. I have to see if this actually is going to fit. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to whittle this down just a little bit to make sure it fits good. There we go. A problem with a hole like this is that there's nothing behind it to hold the new piece of drywall in place. So I'm gonna bust out my drill, one of my favorite tools, and show you guys a way that you can deal with that. Got my drill. Now take a small piece of scrap wood. This one's actually a little bit big for this purpose, but it'll work. And take a drywall screw or just a flat-headed screw of some kind. All right, so now I've got a brace for that piece of drywall. Make sure when you do that, you put the screws in real tight or even maybe drill them into the drywall a little bit just so that you can cover them up with the joint compound and make it a nice smooth finish. All right, now just like the last project, we're gonna take some joint compound, and this time I'm gonna put it around the edges here where that paper is gonna be laying. Just get a nice thick layer there. All right, now, got that in there good. And just like in the last project, smooth it out really nice and smooth. Make sure you really press that paper in good so that it gets nice and embedded in that joint compound. And just like the last project, make sure you feather this out way farther than you think you need to. It'll help make it look better in the long run if you've got a nice even finish instead of a big mound right there. All right. Pretty sure I've gotten this just about as smooth as I can for the first layer. So I'm gonna let it dry and then come back later and put on another layer. All right, this has been drying for several hours now and it's nice and dry, but you can still see a little bit of the outline of the square and I need that to go away. So I'm gonna put another quick coat on it before I go to bed and that way it'll be dry tomorrow morning and I can start sanding and maybe paint it. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I'm no Debbie Reynolds. So it's the next morning and it's time to get sanding. Tell you what, I'm gonna go get a mask. I'm ready. I think I'm about to go rob someplace. Everybody down, this is a robbery. Just putting a thin coat of primer on this first. You're probably asking yourself, why on earth did that woman paint her garage red? A few years ago, we man caved this room and my husband really wanted Formula One red. So I painted 4 coats of red on this garage and it still came out all patchy and I couldn't get it to look even. So eventually I just started sponging it on. And now I'm honestly afraid to try to repaint it because I know how hard that's gonna be. You really want to think twice before you decide to paint anything red. Once again, I had to get this paint matched. It looks a little orange in the can, so I'm a little nervous, but then again, it's just the garage. I'll live. Hi, I'm back. And look, it's all nice and dry. And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with my work on this one. Even up close, you can't really even see where I patched it, which is amazing. And the paint came out great again too. Go to a local paint store, a little specialty store to get your paint matched if you need to, as opposed to going to a Home Depot or a Lowe's. They're great, but they can't match paint as well as a specialty store can. So it's worth a little bit of extra money to not have to repaint an entire room. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2 of this series, please do go check them out. I cover a lot of the common repair problems that you're gonna have with drywall, including cracks in your drywall, as well as dings and small holes. This is Chick Fix signing out. Thank you for being a part of my craziness for a little while.